While managing celebrities seems to be a dream job on the outside, the more we glimpse into Hanbyul's life, the more unglamorous it seems. And the hardest part of her job is always having to deal with calls from reporters. She fields a call from one of them concerning a celebrity under her, who's currently in Africa digging a well. It's in Africa where we meet our leading man, Gong Taisung. Taisung and his charity team have just finished drilling the well to the delight of the villagers, and his charity exploits earn him media headlines around the world. He seems like a good person whom everyone loves. No kidding. Taisung's face is plastered on every billboard in the streets, on buildings, buses, you name a product, and he's endorsing it. While looking at Taesung's face on a billboard, Hanbyul flashes back to Taesung's departure at the airport, where she'd been knocked down by his teeming fans. He helped her up, leaned in and whispered something to her. Taesung's volunteering period is almost over, and he briefly recollects the airport scene with Hanbyul when asked if there's anyone he wants to see when he returns home. Unfortunately, she doesn't feel the same way, and hilariously thinks she needs to find another job before he returns. For now, it seems she's the only one immune to his charms. During a routine medical examination, Hanbyul hastily departs, still clad in her hospital gown, when news of a Taesung scandal erupts online. Apparently, he accidentally collided heads with another volunteer during a foot volleyball match, an incident that social media has grossly exaggerated. At home, she contemplates an old photograph of herself and Taesung that sits discarded in her trash. We finally hear what he had whispered at the airport: "I won't let you go when I get back." At work the next day, we learn the two attended the same school. And while Hanbyul had defended him in front of the other staff, she knew the incident with Taesung wasn't really an accident, and he knocked heads with the other guy on purpose. First, cracks in the seemingly perfect Taesung armor. Speaking of which, Taesung returns 3 days earlier than scheduled and goes in for another whisper the second he locates Hanbyul. This time, he tells her that she seems to be in a good mood, which puts him in a bad mood. We get a pleasant Taesung at a press conference on his great water-bringing exploits in Africa, after which he goes back into diva mood as he meets his new manager. Diva Taesung is back, which means Hanbyul's already hectic life is about to get even worse. After Hwang Boin, a team rookie, makes a workplace error, two colleagues take her out for consolatory drinks, where they speculate about Taesung and Hanbyul's relationship. Here, Dae-soo reveals 6-year-old gossip. Back then, novice Hanbyul made a catastrophic typo in a press release, reporting that Taesung would play an impotent character rather than an archaeologist. Outraged, he had stormed the agency, pursuing her to the restroom, where he began removing his pants to prove his virility. Fortunately, or perhaps unfortunately, Dae-soo intervened before Hanbyul could be scarred by the sight. This incident established their adversarial relationship. A photo shoot separates Taesung and Hanbyul for the day, and while he is pissed on set, she feels relieved at work. But Yoo-sung, a friend from the company where she works, reminds her that she still has a job after the typo error only because of Taesung. He'd nagged the boss not to fire her, and just when I'm thinking he's sweet, he says it's because he wants to bully her himself. But when he's alone at home, reminiscing about his volunteering trip, we see a more human side to him. Taesung initially passes on a Star Writers drama. Taesung's co-star happens to be Da-hee, a Taesung fangirl and a new actress. We also discover that a handwritten letter from Yoo-sung was what convinced the writer to cast her on the project. In the middle of another bickering session, Taesung asks why Hanbyul never called him once during his volunteer trip, but while the two of them are still head-to-head, a scandal breaks out about Taesung and his university ex-girlfriend. The picture going viral online is the same one we saw in Hanbyul's trash. Following the news of Hanbyul being Taesung's university ex, the PR staff excitedly develop shipper theories. Thankfully, they manage to take down the post before it spreads. But Hanbyul is horrified nonetheless and tells them to report to her if the picture goes up online again. Even during his high school days, Taesung, who has always been a grumpy pants, had received a lot of scouting offers. But with Ji-hoon's persistence and a business secret, he managed to win Taesung over. Meanwhile, everyone at work is required to fill out a stress index questionnaire, and Taesung's new manager brings it to him. To nobody's surprise, though, Grumpy Pants refuses to fill out the questionnaire. To de-stress, Hanbyul goes to watch a movie, but the source of all her stress also comes to watch the same movie. Sigh. A flashback to their university days shows them at the cinema, and while Taesung had been staring at the screen, she was looking at him. The reverse is the case now, and it's his turn to stare at her. Taesung still thinks Hanbyul sent him to Africa on purpose, so they discuss what led to his volunteering trip. A year ago at a press conference, one of Taesung's rivals was in the news for voicing his dreams of helping those in Africa. Taesung wondered if he could also volunteer, but Hanbyul didn't think he had it in him. Fueled by her lack of faith, he declared loudly that he would go to Africa. Unfortunately, his declaration was caught on camera by the horde of reporters and headlines were made. At home, Taesung reads the news about an older actress getting a divorce, and a panic attack comes on. From his hazy flashbacks, we see he has a connection with the actress. Just then, Hanbyul calls, but somehow she ends up nagging him about the stress questionnaire. They make a bet to see who is the most stressed between them, but the gold medal for stress is awarded to Ki-bum, Hanbyul's best friend who keels over from acute appendicitis and has to be rushed to the hospital. Even while hearing she needs surgery, Ki-bum is still in reporter mode and continues to write an article until she is dragged away by the doctors. Meanwhile, at a fan signing event, Hanbyul notices that Taesung seems to be tired, and when she spots his now filled out questionnaire, warning alarms go off in her head. He stumbles ever so slightly on stage, and while he is studied by a bodyguard, her instincts also kick in to catch him. As she rushes to the stage, she trips and goes sliding into the middle of the two men's legs. The embarrassing moment is played for comedy to the Titanic theme song and captured by countless fan cams. It goes viral on the internet. Of course, Taesung will never allow such a golden opportunity for a tease to pass him by, and he makes the exact same sliding pose at his next photo shoot. To make matters worse, he gets a perfect score on his stress index questionnaire and wins their bet. As a result, Hanbyul has to get a 3-month pay cut. Still, Hanbyul worries about him and wonders if he'll go through counseling because of his high stress score. Filming begins for Taesung's new drama, and Jung-yeol goes over and above in his managerial duties on set, sharing drinks endorsed by Taesung's rival, taking instructions too literally, and even spreading Taesung's wet briefs in the open. All of this naturally gets Taesung upset, and he refuses to film like a true diva. To smooth things over with the crew, Hanbyul and her team bring snacks and a coffee truck to the filming location. And a surprised Taesung has the biggest of grins on his face when he sees her. In his office, Soo-hyuk, the lawyer of the company, watches Hanbyul's viral sliding clip and thinks she's cute. On another occasion, he spots her in a cafe on the weekend and treats her to coffee. Then at work, he asks Hanbyul point-blank if she's dating Taesung. For someone who was just thinking about how nice Taesung can be on occasion, he saved her from further embarrassment on her sliding mishap and didn't follow through with the docking of her paycheck as per their bet. Hanbyul flat out denies such a preposterous claim. Taesung, who's listening in down the hall, stands there unhappily, while Soo-hyuk is clearly delighted. A jealous Taesung interrupts Hanbyul in Soo-hyuk's moment, and in his famous whisper pose, he threatens her with the paycheck deduction if she doesn't come to his drama shoot. She goes, but work never stops for Hanbyul even while she's on set, and while Taesung expects her to concentrate on watching his performance, she's either on the phone or her laptop. Eventually, he tells her to leave and she happily does, oblivious to his very obvious disappointment. That evening, Soo-hyuk is still at work thinking about Hanbyul when he gets a call from her concerning work matters. For someone who clocks out by 6 p.m., he's only too happy to work overtime so he can spend more time with her. At a later work meeting, he even raises eyebrows from the others when he tells Hanbyul she can contact him for work matters outside of work hours. As a favor to her professor, Hanbyul gives a lecture at her university and gets reminded of back in the day when rumors went round that she was dating Taesung. Apparently, their famous throwback picture was for a promotional brochure in the university, and people just assumed they were in a relationship. Hanbyul denies it again to the professor, citing the misery the resulting rumors caused her. But from the professor, we learn that Taesung, knowing how much the rumors affected her, had paid for the brochures to be destroyed and pledged himself as a promotional lamb to be sacrificed for subsequent brochures even years after their graduation. When Hanbyul relates the story, minus the identity of the male lead, to her best friend, she says the guy probably liked her, but Hanbyul is quick to shut down that thought. Hanbyul belatedly thanks Taesung for helping her with the promotional brochure, and though he acts like it's no big deal, we see he's happy about it. Taesung passes on some interview questions to Hanbyul, saying she knows him best and can answer them for him. One of the questions is about the most memorable moment in Taesung's life. life, and when Hanbyul lists out a couple of them for him to pick from, a sleepy Taesung remarks that she was part of all those moments. He then tells her not to go anywhere and falls asleep with his head on her shoulder, but she pushes his head off and walks out, clearly affected by the moment. Soo-hyuk stops to say hello to Hanbyul at work, and she notes that they have been running into each other a lot lately. He tells her he moved next door to Taesung and suggests hosting a housewarming party for the PR team. After being dropped off at home, Taesung then gets into the most awkward elevator ride with his new neighbor, Soo-hyuk. He tells Soo-hyuk that he's very close to Hanbyul. In fact, they're best friends, and when Soo-hyuk mentions that he was with Hanbyul up until now, Taesung sends him the death glare. Hanbyul wishes for some romance in her life, and when Ho-young asks if her heart has ever beat for someone, she thinks about the scene with sleepy Taesung. Of course, Hanbyul says she has never had such heart-fluttering feelings for anyone, and then flushes down her denial with beer. Meanwhile, Taesung goes over his script where the characters begin to date after being with each other up until now. He remembers Soo-hyuk's statement in the elevator, and he flings the script away and tosses and turns in bed all night. Netizens spot Taesung's very blurry reflection on a stainless bowl in a picture uploaded by Da-hai during a meal with their staff. The picture sparks a dating rumor, and Hanbyul calls Taesung to fact-check. She says it's a relief that the rumors are false, and just as Taesung is getting happy about it, she clarifies that she feels relief because the PR team does not need to lie. Jung-yul doesn't hear the conversation, but from Taesung's body language, it appears like the two had a lover's quarrel. At an interview for their upcoming drama, Taesung is asked to describe his ideal type, and Da-hai perks up beside him. He says his ideal type is someone he feels comfortable around like a good friend, and their shippers turn to face Hanbyul immediately. Soo-hyuk mentions that he's throwing a housewarming party for the PR team at Starforce, and his office manager asks if he likes Hanbyul. He admits he does. Taesung lies that his TV is broken and comes to watch the premiere episode of his new drama with Ji-hoon and the PR trio. While the others react to the drama, Hanbyul is silent, and Taesung itches to hear her say something, but he gets nothing. Afterwards, he asks for her thoughts about the drama, and she says his character seems cool. He then asks what she thinks about him, and she goes silent. One thing about Taesung is his consistency, either in looking for new ways to annoy Hanbyul or about his ideal type, which has always been Hanbyul. But in the past, he confirmed a dating rumor between himself and actress Yo Ha-jin and dashed all of Hanbyul's hopes. Taesung's newfound realization that he likes Hanbyul comes with the desire to confess his feelings to her, and he begins Operation Confess to Hanbyul. He tries to win her over with various tropes, tying her shoelaces, bringing her coffee. But Hanbyul is not having any of it thanks to traumas from all the pranks he's pulled on her over the years. In their unrelenting effort to come up with the perfect confession, Taesung and his personal manager do all sorts, from hilariously recreating famous drama confession scenes to going over Hanbyul TMI in the hopes of finding a common ground between Taesung and Hanbyul. A sulky Taesung tries to eavesdrop on Soo-hyuk's housewarming party through the wall, but the party is quite lifeless with just Jung-yul and the PR staff, minus Hanbyul. Even with Taesung eventually crashing the party, the vibe is still non-existent until Hanbyul, the life of the party, arrives. While the others busy themselves with games, Soo-hyuk and Hanbyul have a moment alone, and she realizes that he likes her. Things get slightly awkward and he tells her he'll wait for an answer. Yoo-sung urges Taesung to hurry up with his confession, warning him that Soo-hyuk has already beaten him to it. To help, Yoo-sung sends Hanbyul to Taesung's apartment, under the pretext of delivering a script he forgot. Summoning his courage, Taesung hesitantly tells Hanbyul that something is happening to him. Stammering, he finally confesses that he likes her. Hanbyul blinks repeatedly as an awkward silence hangs between them, until she suddenly screams and bolts, leaving Taesung completely stunned. Hanbyul is present on set for Taesung and Da-hai's kiss scene, and he starts to explain that the kiss is just for work. It's amusing how he acts like she caught him cheating on her or something. Hanbyul acts like it's no big deal, but as we see later on, she is clearly affected by the kiss scene. Taesung almost has a heart attack when he runs into Yo Ha-jin, his ex-girlfriend from back in the day, and belatedly realizes the girl he likes was the one who officially confirmed his dating rumor with another girl. But in reality, Taesung and Ha-jin never had a relationship and only confirmed it to keep the media quiet. Even though his confession is still in limbo, Soo-hyuk tries to play the cool guy and doesn't want to rush into getting an answer from Hanbyul, but he can't help picking up on the awkwardness between them and asks her out for dinner. But while Hanbyul is being asked out by the competition, Taesung is lovesick at home and has his meal spiked with excess salt by his suspicious housekeeper. To one-up Soo-hyuk, Taesung also asks to meet up with Hanbyul, and the poor girl is left to wonder whose invitation she will honor. We watch Hanbyul running off to meet with Taesung, but by the time she arrives, he is swarmed by a truckload of fans and she leaves. But not before calling Yoo-sung to come to Taesung's rescue. Hanbyul gets to have the dinner date with Soo-hyuk, and when he mentions that he's not a star in the sky, but an ordinary guy, it gets her thinking. Considering that she has dealt with Taesung in a strictly professional manner since she confirmed his dating rumor, the knowledge that he likes her makes her hesitant. But more than the reality of his celebrity status, which is starting to hit her, she's scared of getting hurt again. But encouraged by her best friends to act on her feelings, Hanbyul marches over to Taesung's house where he reaffirms his love for her, and they finally kiss. As Taesung and Hanbyul settle into their new relationship, initial awkwardness aside, Hanbyul is so giddy that she greets and smiles at all the Taesung posters on the street, something she couldn't stand seeing earlier on in the drama. The feeling is so contagious that Yoo-sung catches on from an equally giddy Taesung, and he's happy for the couple. That same feeling makes Hanbyul turn Soo-hyuk down, and thankfully, he's cool about the rejection. But he has more things to worry about, like a leaked blind item about an incredible male couple, national boyfriend and top star A, who just returned from a volunteer trip, and lawyer D, who just moved next door to A. In addition to the scandal between his biggest star and their lawyer, Jiwoo also scans an article on Yoon Si-woo, Taesung's mum, and we get a flashback to high school Taesung when he tearfully begged Jiwoo to make him into a bigger star than his mother. So that's really how he accepted Jiwoo's scouting to become an actor. Saiwoo runs into the suspicious housekeeper when she visits Taesung at home and recognizes her as the rich madam from the mall. They get into a fight, but Taesung takes his housekeeper's side and tells Yoo-sung, who's rushed over, to get his mom out of the house. Meanwhile, on her way out, the suspicious housekeeper runs into Hanbyul and takes note of her necklace, a gift from Taesung. She recalls seeing it in Taesung's closet and realizes he's dating someone from work. Then she gets into a fancy car and is driven off. Whoever she is, she's definitely up to no good. And Saiwoo shares the same sentiment as she tells Yoo-sung about her encounter with the housekeeper at the mall. This gets Yoo-sung and Hanbyul to dig into the housekeeper, and they eventually find out that she's a crazy, rich, and obsessed fan, who for some weird reason enjoys buying expensive gifts for celebrities. 3 years ago, the housekeeper had bought a limited edition wristwatch for Taesung, but he had it sent back because he doesn't accept fan gifts. Offended by the rejection, she had wormed her way into becoming his housekeeper and fed him salty food so as to become special to him. She even sends all the PR staff the same type of necklace that Taesung gave Hanbyul, with a note to Hanbyul telling her that she's not that special. Unfortunately, the best they can do is file a restraining order after all the trauma she has put Taesung through. Over dinner with Siwoo, Jiwoo, who happens to be her former manager, mildly scolds her for barging into Taesung's life and tells her Taesung will need time to open up to her again, if he ever does. While Taesung and Hanbyul enjoy a morning together, a new character now stands at the gravesite they once visited to pay respects to their friend, Lee Yoon-woo. The young man swears to avenge Yoon-woo by making Taesung pay for whatever it was he did. He then sends a cryptic message to a Taesung anti-fan site, and soon afterwards, Taesung and Hanbyul's phones begin to vibrate, ominously. A picture of Yoon Si-woo hugging Taesung outside his apartment hits the internet, sparking relationship rumors. Thankfully, only her back view appears in the picture, and the PR team is able to quell the rumors and threatens legal action. At first, Hanbyul and Yoo-sung think the picture was uploaded by the housekeeper, but then, at the filming location, when Da-hai notes that Taesung seems to be having a hard time because of the rumors, Yoona's other manager, Kang Min-kyu, hides a sinister smile. We recognize him as Taesung's former manager, and the guy we saw at the gravesite of Lee Yoon-woo. Hanbyul visits the housekeeper to return the necklaces she sent to the PR staff, and the housekeeper taunts her for thinking she'll always be special to Taesung. While the housekeeper is delusional, Hanbyul can't help feeling insecure about her place in Taesung's life, but Taesung is quick to pick up on those feelings and reassures her that he'll always love her. A blurred-out picture of a Star Force ID card is uploaded to Taesung's creepy anti-fan site, and Hanbyul mentions to Yoo-sung that the ID could belong to a former employee. Yoo-sung immediately thinks about Min-kyu and goes to confront him. At the same time, Taesung is being mobbed by reporters outside his house, demanding to know the relationship between him and Siwoo, whose identity has now been revealed. He has a panic attack and collapses, but Hanbyul and Soo-hyuk arrive just in time to prevent the rabid reporters from harassing him any further. While Taesung recuperates, the agency tries to figure out a plan of action. Siwoo wants to tell the truth about their mother-son relationship, but she holds back for Taesung's sake and wonders if it was wrong of her to return to Korea. But as it turns out, Siwoo returned because she's losing her memories and wants to apologize to Taesung before she loses it all. When a picture of Yoosung picking Siwoo up from the airport is sent to Taesung, he chooses to trust Yoosung instead of suspecting him. But when Yoosung tries to convince him that admitting his mother-son relationship with Siwoo is the best way to put an end to all the speculation, Taesung feels betrayed. He lashes out at Yoosung for being just like the other managers who put business over the feelings and welfare of the celebrities in their care. To nip an upcoming illegitimate child rumor about Taesung in the bud, Han Byul pushes Siwoo to hold a press conference where Siwoo admits that Taesung is her son. This puts Taesung's career back on track, but at the expense of his birth secret now out in the open. But Taesung is a different story, and he's initially not pleased with Han Byul for masterminding the press conference. However, he comes around after learning the reason behind the press conference, and all is forgiven. After smoothing things over with Han Byul and Yoosung, Taesung's next step is to make up with Siwoo. Mother and son talk, allowing their emotions to surface. She asks for his forgiveness once again, and he responds by hugging her, assuring her that he will visit whenever he has the time. While Siwoo takes half of the drama's gloom with her as she leaves Korea, the other half is tied to Yoonwoo, whom we learn committed suicide. But as his death anniversary draws close, Taesung is sent threatening letters to remind him that he killed Yoonwoo. It's then revealed that Yoonwoo's manager was Yoo Gui-nong, who runs the bar where Han Byul and the girls frequently drink. And as it turns out, he's also a member of the creepy anti-fan site, and the one behind the letters. As Taesung explains to Soo-hyuk, he and Yoonwoo met as roommates in high school and eventually bonded over Taesung's absence of a family and Yoonwoo's entitled family. But when Soo-hyuk asks Taesung why Gui-nong thinks he killed Yoonwoo, Taesung has no idea. To seek answers, Taesung cajoles Soo-hyuk into coming with him to Gui-nong's bar. But the night doesn't end in lighthearted gossip. Kaibum and Soo-hyuk leave together, giving her space to unload her long-standing guilt. She fears that an article she wrote about Yoonwoo may have played a role in his death, but Soo-hyuk reassures her she was just doing her job. Yet she's not the only one haunted by regret. While talking, Han Byul reveals to Taesung that she wasn't able to answer Yoonwoo's last call, and now she compulsively picks up every call she gets. Taesung, on the other hand, blames himself for not noticing his friend's pain and once sought escape in volunteer work. As for Gui-nong, he abandoned his career as manager and his guilt twists into misplaced blame. A rumor once suggested that Taesung was the first choice for Yoonwoo's final role. Somehow, in his grief, Gui-nong clung to this as proof of Taesung's responsibility. But pain doesn't justify cruelty, and his vendetta only deepens the wounds of those left behind. In the end, Taesung chooses not to press charges. Gui-nong shuts down his bar, stepping away for self-reflection, finally taking the last remnants of the drama's lingering sorrow with him. In the final stretch of the drama, Taesung and Han Byul's romance is no secret to Ji-hoon and the PR team, but they all play along, pretending not to notice. Determined to keep their relationship under wraps, Han Byul bans Tae-seung from visiting her at work. But he has other plans. Using every excuse in the book, from delivering snacks to answering PR calls and even faking method acting for a workplace romance project, Tae-seung finds ways to stay close to her. Realizing he knows far less about Han Byul than she does about him, Taesung launches Operation All About My Oh Han Byul, bribing the PR team for information in exchange for helping with their tasks. His enthusiasm gets a little out of hand, but his sincerity wins hearts. Meanwhile, work temporarily separates Han Byul from her boyfriend. When Han Byul returns, pictures of Taesung's recent visits to the agency have spread online. But unlike Taesung, Han Byul is not ready to go public with their relationship, thanks to PTSD from those dating rumors during their university days. And to avoid getting caught, she says they have to be careful. But after a passionate night together while traveling together, Han Byul gets a call from a reporter on a tip about Taesung going on a trip with a non-celebrity. And as the moment of truth dawns on her, Han Byul takes the bold step to go public with her relationship.